What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I just wanted to be talking about if I was a beginning Amazon FBA seller, what would I be looking for, and kind of just my advice from 5 years of selling on Amazon, what I would do as a beginner from my 5 years experience if I can go back in time. So without further ado, let's get right into the Amazon.com and Helium 10, and let's just talk about kind of my thought process of what I would be looking for. When we look at Amazon altogether, sales are only growing every single year. Amazon itself is growing, but as a beginner, there's that question of how much you should invest, what your product should be, what do I even do to start? Do I create an LLC? And to answer your question, yes, you probably should create an LLC. It costs like 200, $300, but like you don't really have to have much of a down kind of payment on a big down payment on starting an Amazon business. You could really start one for only $2,000 or $3,000. So what I would do actually is when I'm product researching in Helium 10 here, I would look for essentially a product that is lower priced, to get my feet in the water of knowing how to do the whole process. So even if I fail, I've only lost maybe $1,000, but I've learned so many skills through it to help me succeed my second time. But if it does go good, we have a successful product. Kind of into what I teach, I'm looking to start a brand definitely in like a $20 to $30 range, given that I can get my cost per unit for only a few bucks. Based on that, you would probably order a minimum quantity of 500, be 1,500 down. And me personally, I invest $1,000 into packaging and photography to really have the best presentation possible. But as a beginner, I would definitely look into something that's making, here, I'll set up the criteria right now. So I would look into a product that is one, kind of cheap, but I can get for very cheap, where you can find a market that is old, is needing branding, and has a customer who's enthusiastic about their product, whether it's a hobby or a solution that you're solving. Typically, 99% of Amazon sellers try to sell and try to create a bundle and try to sell in markets with high revenue and low reviews, like we're all taught on YouTube. But that's actually not a good way, because the 99% are doing that. What we need to do is do what the majority aren't doing and do what the 1% are to get those 1% achievements. So essentially what a lot of people aren't telling you is you actually need to start a significantly strong brand, as in like cool packaging, cool character on the packaging, have a unique value to you that separates you from the rest, right? So you want to have this 1% mentality of separating yourself from the others. And so when I'm like scrolling down here, I'm looking for a customer who's willing to spend more, that I could start a brand in for cheap. Because like I said, worst comes to worst, you spend $1,000 or $2,000 and you learn all the lessons of selling on Amazon and all the fundamentals, and you learned where you went wrong, instead of dropping $10,000 on a $70, $80 product or $50 and never doing it again. So the risk reward is really on par for you that way. So it's funny, I was actually going to do a luggage rack a year ago, and then I realized I learned all this branding stuff that I'm teaching you guys, and I realized I couldn't start a brand in there. So kind of embarrassing. I was going to start a luggage rack with real wheels and be the first person to do it, but realized that the market average of price would just go down over time, and then I would just keep having to undercut. And yeah, so that's why branding is so important. Great, let's get back on track. So obviously I might not find something for you today, but I definitely want to set the criteria for finding a type of product if you're a beginner to start a brand in. So for me, I would definitely want people who are enthusiastic about what they're buying. So let's narrow down our filters right now and kind of just see what we can get out of this. So let's go patio, lawn and gardening, sports and outdoors. And when I set my review count to 1,000, I really don't care about reviews. I just kind of want to see people that have been selling for a while that do well in a type of market like this. Typically what people teach you is like reviews matter so much. It really doesn't. Like I said, it's kind of just what the 99% are teaching us that isn't really correct. So industrial and scientific. And don't get me wrong, you could launch a product and probably do well today. And I have known people who have launched products and do well, not in a non-enthusiast market and don't do branding. But the success rate is very low. Let's just be honest. So let's try to find something. Termite killer. There you go. That's a problem solver right there. The reason why is people are trying to, this is like a big need people have, is when termites come in their house and they have a specific emotion they're trying to get rid of disgust, and they need something to match their emotion. And typically people just launch typical brands. I know Terminate is a really good brand in it, and they did an exceptional job of like finding the customer and matching it. But like, this is also an example of like what you could do. Definitely a barrier of entry because you need to get some license for selling in these types of markets, but just kind of an example of what I mean on that end. Ground bee killer. What the heck is this? So this is actually not bad of a market. It's definitely kind of a cheaper one and a very seasonal one as well. But what's cool is like all of these brands were created in the early 2000s, and there's been nobody to innovate and like create something better, but like more importantly have like a sick package and a really cool brand on that end. And I keep saying branding, I know, but it's just something I will emphasize. Like, you could put a sick bee getting burnt on fire on this and have like a really cool name and a dark package, and priced twice as higher because perceived value is higher and sell very well. But obviously there's a barrier to entry in these markets too, but these are just like examples. Obviously, like I said, I might not find something today, but I just wanted to give you guys kind of the criteria I look for. Of course, helium-10 falls off a cliff. All right, we're back. Roach gel. See, this is actually an interesting market, and one that I talked to many of my close friends about who also do this. Definitely have considered doing this market. It is a barrier to entry, but what's cool about it is that it's not as seasonal as other markets, and nobody has really come in and done like a really sick brand like Terminate did with termites. So what's cool is like when I look for markets, I look for something that isn't too seasonal where it's like a really big spike. I only like, what I find in these markets that's really cool is the demand is still not falling off. So like, if we look at the off season, we're looking at a 4,000 to 5,000 search term. But what people don't get is like, this is just the main search term, and with longer tail ones, it probably would add up to 10K people in during the off season. So still, you could make 15 to 20K in revenue. So in my eyes, this is definitely a cool market. Again, so much barrier to entry, and do your own research on this, obviously. But like, it's a very interesting market with a lot of opportunities to create a brand in. And these are just like simple opportunities, I mean, of markets that are very old, that have amazing opportunity itself, that haven't had much innovation in it, but has a customer that's an enthusiast. So that's it though. It's for today's video, honestly. I just wanted to give that advice to you guys on what I would do and the type of markets I'd look for as a beginner. Like I said, yeah, low priced, significant search volume, isn't too seasonal, an enthusiast customer, somebody who's willing to spend more or is passionate about what they're buying. Because if we're willing to spend more, then we can have a cool brand to make them have higher perceived value of us and buy us instead of a cheaper one. But yeah, if you liked today's video, leave a thumbs up. I'm trying to help the future entrepreneurs out there that are trying to get into Amazon. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and have an amazing day.